Now this bit suddenly feels like autumn. That's, looks like 3 different trees growing together. Maybe it's 2. A death embrace. One of the interesting things that I've heard, seen, is people in other places are finding fungus. Well, so I haven't seen any today, none at all, and that's a strange situation. If we get a little bit of rain now, before the end of October, then there should be quite a few in here, because there's normally some really good ones, and if you've seen any of my fungus videos you'll have seen some from here. But yeah, it's bizarre. Other people have been reacting to me like I'm mad. Like, what do you mean there's no fungus? There's no mushrooms where you are. There aren't. Because if I'd have seen one, I would have shown you. I saw one last week. One solitary mushroom. And not all of them are edible, so they can't have been foraged. I know that for sure. Now I think that tapping sound is a squirrel, because of the height it is in the tree. If it was a thrush doing snails, it would be doing it on the ground against a stone. Ooh, what's around the bend? Ooh, what's around the bend? Could be me. You know, that was a euphemism for people who weren't mentally all there. Not who weren't mentally all there, but who had suddenly lost touch with reality. Whatever reality is, of course. That brings us neatly on to something that I did want to talk about, and that is mental health. Now don't want to talk about it in terms of, you know, people going through things. I wanted to talk about it in a more general sense of, I don't know quite the right words for this. But everything's classified, yeah? But in order to classify everything, there has to be a thing to relate it to. Because otherwise it's just this random thing somewhere. And in the case of mental issues, these things are classified in terms of what's normal. But after knowing a number of people with various things, you know, classified by the authorities, I do wonder if, because we're relating everything to a norm, that people who are outside the box, you know, who don't exist in these norms, are treated like there's something wrong with them, when in fact they just might be relating to other dimensions and other things that are going on that also exist, as I know myself. Yeah, I saw a steam engine earlier. Like, you know, I couldn't have, could I? Because it wasn't there. Yeah, go down through here. So, you know, some of these things, they could be people that are seeing other things in other realms. And because we have a world where everyone needs to be shoehorned in to fit this mould, then there has to be labels to make people who don't fit into the mould outsiders. Yeah, because these people might actually come out with the truth, mightn't they? Then what will happen? The control mechanisms will be gone. You can't have that. Can't have people showing you there's another way of being. Ooh, what will happen then? Do you see what I mean? You know, everyone suffers with some kind of mental issue at some point. I think one of the common ones is that no one answers the house telephone anymore. Unless you're a much older person. It's true, isn't it? I don't even have mine plugged in. That's how much I answer it. That's, you know, and then there's other ones, like, you know, some people have a pile of 6 months mail unopened. Well, because people don't write letters anymore, do they? So you know that every letter you get is some kind of official thing, either wanting money or threatening you in some way. So that's kind of an understandable anxiety. I mean, I read some letters, and it's not like I'm not paying my bills or anything, but it's like the tone of their voice is not, it's not, you owe us some money, or, you know, you need to pay this by the 30th of September, or whatever the date is. It's like failure to do so will result in blah 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 and all these threats. So we live in a world where we're threatened all the time. So if you're honest, okay, much as nobody likes to be paying tax or bills or anything, even if you're honest and have no intention of not paying your bit, it makes you feel like, what? How dare you assume that I'm not going to pay? How dare you assume things about me? It's, you know, oh, it's crazy. And I don't know if other countries are like this. You know, we have so many things in this country, like we have to pay for our cars, our vehicles to be tested every year. We have all kinds of insurance. We have all kinds of these extra things that we have to pay for, that it turns out that people in other countries that I know of, personally, they don't pay these things, they don't have these things. It does make you wonder. I mean, so it makes me wonder why anyone wants to come to Britain in the first place. Because of all the stuff that's going on. So, you know, back to the mental health issues, because I have a bit of anxiety about opening my post because of all that. Like, because there's always some kind of threat attached. It's like, fuck off, don't threaten me. You know, there's no need to do that. Can you imagine if everyone was polite and nice about it all? Because it's always based on the minority that won't pay, or as a friend calls it, militant about it. So everything's based on the lowest common denominator, which basically means people are out here to not pay and get away with all kinds of stuff, be it, you know, illegal or whatever activity. And that's the common denominator, and that no one is nice, no one is polite, and no one is kind. And I'm sorry, I'm not putting up with that. But back to the, you know, some people see things and have, you know, because they could, if they wanted to, and this is quite scary, because if you look at what's happening now, you know, it looks like the Holocaust is happening again. And I'm not being, you know, I'm not exaggerating about that and making it up. It is happening again, and people are going to sit by and watch it happen. So, you know, I could do an analogy, but it would be highly sexual. So I'm not going to do that. I'll leave that to your imagination. So, you know, so they could easily see, you know, lots of people are psychic because it's a natural part of your brain. So you can see stuff. So what they do is they then make that out to be some kind of mental disorder and cart you off to an asylum when there's nothing wrong with you. Do you see how the sinisterness works? Well, I guess if you're watching this channel, you've got a pretty good idea. Whereas you wouldn't be watching it. You know, I'm not saying anything, I'm leaving it to you, but I know what I've experienced personally in my life and seen just because of where I was born and grew up for 20 years. And so there's a whole load of people who, because of the classification, don't think themselves to be normal, when actually, however you are is normal. You know, you go to the tribes and you see, you know, the healer or the wise person or the medicine man or the shaman or whatever, well, you can't say in relation to, you know, our world outside, that's not normal, is it? Although to me, that is. That's quite a normal way of being, a normal state. So if I can just sum up, what there is a book, and it contains, used to be, I'm pretty sure it was 92 mental disorders, and there's now something like 130 or something. But let's just be very clear, this is all based on against a notion of what is normal. And basically, that means what is normal to fit into the way the world is. That doesn't mean the way the world is right. It's a way of keeping everybody in check and making sure that those who are clairvoyant, clairaudient, who see different dimensions, are silenced. Bear that in mind. Because if you look at children very young, before they know things, they come out with stuff that the only conclusion you can draw from it is that A, reincarnation happens, and B, they experienced those things and they can see them, because we all have those senses. Various militaries have done research into this, you know, the Russian and the American. The Russians officially for longer, but it does work. And if you know about the men who stare at goats, like John Ronson, basically the only reason why they didn't carry on was because you can't control that kind of activity. So it's just a matter, for anyone who suffers with any kind of issues, it's just a matter of learning how to live within this world and be that, which causes a conflict, as I've said earlier. So my conclusion, the world needs to change and become different. I've come to a crossroads. I don't know which way to go. So at that point, that's quite a good place to leave it, isn't it? Humanity's at a crossroads. So thanks for joining me, and I'll see you next time. Ta-ra.